Tensions continue to rise in the African nation of Niger, where a coup removed the country's democratically elected president last week. Now, this comes as some experts warn of the broader impact of this conflict in a country that is seen as a key Western ally in the fight against West African jihadist groups. Now, the general who led the coup in Niger defended the takeover on state television and asked for support from the nation and international partners. Thousands of supporters of the junta that took over Niger marched through the streets of the capital city of Niamey this weekend. They waved Russian flags, chanting the name of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and they forcefully denounced former colonial power France. The 15-nation West African bloc ECOWAS held an emergency summit on Sunday in Nigeria to look for ways to restore the country's elected president. They have given Niger's coup leaders 1 week to reinstate the country's democratically elected president, and they've also threatened to use force if their demands are not met. Joining us now to unpack the geopolitical consequences of the coup in Niger is geoeconomist Daniel Foubert. Sir, welcome to Forum Daily.
Hello.
Now, if you're really looking at the messages during this coup by the supporters of this coup and the coup itself, there seems to be a very strong Russian influence, or if not Russian support among members of this coup. So what could be the broader geopolitical implications of this coup to the world?
Well, we have to put this into context. First, there were several coups already there in the region, Sudan, Mali, Burkina, and every time the new junta invites the Russians. In Central Africa, they want to build a Russian base. So the Russian influence is maybe not obvious, but to a 90% extent probable, I would say. The global geopolitical consequences are that China and Russia are expanding in Africa, and they're expanding everywhere in the global south. And what we see in Ukraine is just a part of the iceberg. Actually, the American geopoliticians are asking themselves questions. They have debates about the pivot. Is it worth to spend more on the Pacific than on Europe? I think this is a very strange debate, because they have to be, unfortunately, they have to be everywhere. If they stop looking at Africa, Europe is going to be surrounded. Of course, the Europeans have to react first, but this is a global challenge for the West. It's not just Ukraine or Taiwan or Niger. It's everywhere. Russia and China are everywhere. In 2000, Chinese trade between with these French-speaking countries in Africa was roughly $1 billion. Today, it's 28 billion. French trade with these countries is 17 billion. So the situation is changing extremely fast, and Wagner is developing there. So as we see, Chinese and Russian influence is really expanding, and both countries have different abilities. China is providing the money, the infrastructure, and Russia provides, mercenaries, propaganda, anti-French propaganda, and more countries are in the south are becoming more pro-Russian, anti-French, and anti-Western. So and of course, there is a risk of destabilization of the whole region, because Russia has very good relations with Algeria, with the eastern part of Libya, with Egypt. So we are becoming slowly an island.
Some very concerning insights, Mr. Foubert. It seems that we have just a quick 30 seconds left here, but if we could end with something, we know the West African bloc, ECOWAS, threatened to potentially use force to intervene. Is that enough to do anything in this coup in Niger, from your perspective? Just a quick 20 seconds left here.
Yes, it is very, very good, very strong reaction. Yes, yes, and it is the appropriate reaction, because the reaction has to be regional. Has to be regional powers, not the US, not France, because the population is really angry at French history in Africa, and this is not Russian propaganda. It has to be taken into account in the response.
Definitely something to keep our eyes on. Mr. Foubert, thank you again for your time today.
Thank you very much.